It sounds like, well, it seemed like you were about to say hi and I cut you off. So, hi, Danny.
Hello. Yeah, I was just going to say thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Perfect. Great to have you on. Okay, so let's jump straight in. The first question, Graham, is from Stephen
It sounds
P,
like,
and
well, it
he's
seemed like you were about to
interested in
say
the
hi and I
details of
cut
the
you off.
freeway
So, hi,
chain.
Danny.
He knows that the details themselves won't be disclosed for some time, but he's asking from a high level, do you know if ordinary users will be able to participate in node validation? For some of the chains, there are barriers, such as the number of validators being limited or the cost of running nodes being prohibitively expensive. But what's the plan for freeway chain?
So we're finalizing a few bits because we want to make sure that we don't fall into similar, problems that other people have had, and trying to put together some sort of successful consensus mechanism. So we are working on this, and the whole idea is twofold. One, that there'll be a smaller validator that users can come on, and it's going to be a lot easier to sort of join in. And then the larger validators, especially for sort of overall security of the chain, plus any sort of regulated stuff that we do, which will probably require larger validators, you'll be able to stake towards them. So it's more like a voting mechanism of which big validators you want to use. But yeah, we do hope to have a system in place to make that work for Freeway Chain, so that everyone can participate to some degree in the validation.
Very good. HP is asking for the gram plus, please.
Okay. Give me one sec. I'll give you the rough idea, and then later, same as last time we did this, I'll put the specifics in the community group. I'm just having a very quick look. I don't know if it's updated. So we're at 25,856 users now. So that's starting to sort of accelerate a little bit, I think. Apologies if that's wrong, but it seems that way. 6.2 billion, nearly 6.3 billion freeway tokens are held on the platform, which is 89.13% of circulating supply. And we have a total of just shy of 155 million as of right now in the superchargers right now. So obviously I'll give you a load of specifics on that in the sort of nitty gritty numbers, but it was $2.5 million of buys, I think, $1.5 million of sells. So we've had net buys of $1 million. So we've sort of moved up a little bit this week, which is our new indicator of how the crypto markets are. It's like, do we have net buys or net sells? So all good. Yeah, and I'll put the specific numbers in as soon as I can after this.
Perfect, much appreciated. Normal guy Carlos was next up. He was chatting to a friend that used this referral link in May, but didn't buy superchargers. So seems like he was following up on that referral. Well done, normal guy Carlos. But he was, yeah, they hit on the fact that, well, he said to his friend that Freeway converts, it barely holds any USDT or USDC, converts it to fiat and lets algos do their work in the FX market. And then they had a discussion about how the currency markets have shifted a huge amount, USD obviously getting stronger and stronger. And his question is, to what extent has the crash of other fiat currencies against the USD affected Freeway's balance sheet? Many thanks, sir.
Okay. All right. First, typical disclaimer. I guess I have to do these in all the verbal ones where I'm talking, but I have to just make the clear disclaimer that when you buy a supercharger, you're buying superchargers. You're not buying Bitcoin or Ethereum or fiat or stable coins. You're buying freeway superchargers, which in themselves are not investment products. They are just a purchase of essentially of property, and then what you're using to buy those superchargers is Freeway's revenues, and what we do with our revenues is separate to anything to do with the superchargers. So I just have to put that disclaimer in. But as it happens, it's a slightly easier position for us on the balance sheet because, of course, we sit mainly in dollars, right? So for us, it's been much easier maintaining an increasing purchasing power of our balance sheet as an overall ecosystem because the US dollar is so strong. And yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But we have from our perspective, we have confidence in our algos in these market conditions. It's done very well, and we know that what we've got coming is good for us, no matter really what happens to the US dollar compared to the others. So we're kind of quite happy with that side of things right now.
Right. There was another part to that question. I don't know if you can offer any info, Graham, but it was around how much of Freeway's assets are in USD versus other fiat currencies.
Oh, I see. I mean, to be honest, we kind of in our own assets, we denominate them in US dollars, so we obviously want to see them increasing in US dollars. So the majority, I would say, is a very safe, probably a very safe way for me to say that, being somewhat detailed but very high level. But yeah, the majority is the answer.
Perfect, thank you. John is next with a series of questions about the new product in development. He is, or she maybe, is asking about it being a lending product, getting excited about the possibility of the prospect of borrowing against FWT or against lower rewards non-superchargers. That was the first part of a series of questions about the new product.
Yeah, I mean, it's how to explain. So I think we've got to clarify what this is. So this is a product that will allow users, or is intended to allow users to lend their assets to a Freeway entity. So this is not an opportunity to borrow against something. You're not borrowing money against some asset that you have with Freeway. You are lending your assets to Freeway in exchange for rewards. And this is a great, this is probably one of the largest requests from our community and from those that want to be part of our community or active but haven't been with superchargers, is that when you lend money to someone and it's contractual, there is a legal obligation to repay you. So and unlike a lot of these, which will be like, if you look at other platforms that offer, crypto giving it to us, and if we can't pay you back, then you can't have it. Well, with us, we're intending to make sure this is in the terms and conditions. We're hoping to have them today, but I think we'll get them tomorrow now. So until they're finalized, I can't sort of say it definitely says it, but we certainly intend to put something in which is pretty impressive, in my opinion, which is that we will be looking to assure 98% can be repaid in numerous ways, numerous levels of user protection that just, I've never even seen anything close to it in any other sort of peer platform, as it were, which is very good. So yeah, just to clarify, we're not going to be able to provide liquidity on your assets to you as a user. You won't be able to borrow against the assets that you have with us, but we can provide you with rewards for lending those assets to us for doing so.
Right, Jan or Jan was of the mind that a lending product was not on the roadmap. So has this been a bit of a U-turn?
Just to clarify, so I think this comes back to the idea that there was some thought that you might be able to borrow funds against what you put into Freeway. So there's no plan to really offer that, to be honest. The certain risks are involved, right? If you think about it, right, let's say you had $100 of Bitcoin and you wanted to borrow some money back. Well, there's risk involved in that, right? Because what if you don't pay the money back then, and Bitcoin suddenly crashes to, say you borrowed $50 off your $100 of Bitcoin, and then the Bitcoin goes to $48, and you've lost the money. So just because you didn't get it paid back in time. So we're not really in that game right now. If people want to do that, they can go and do it somewhere else. What we want to say is, if you have your assets, then you're welcome, or you will be welcome. It's intended that you'll be welcome to lend them to us, and we will reward you for doing so in a hopefully what we hope is a very unique and assured way where the worst case scenario is 98% of what you lent to us comes back to you, no matter what, whilst we continue to reward you with what I think are pretty industry leading rates, and even still with all of those assurances and protections in place. So that's the big thing, and I think we've been alluding to something like this for quite a while. We were looking at something called deposit rewards, which was more, essentially incentivized custody. But this product is really an amalgamation of all of those developments and understanding the regulatory and some aspects in talking to lots of lawyers, and you're always trying to develop the best product that you can, which is going to give the users the most. And that's what we've come up with.
And if a user was interested in swapping into this new product from their existing, what's that process going to be like in terms of KYC? And will that process be smoothed out? Do you know anything about what that might involve?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there isn't another requirement for KYC. Because you're within the ecosystem already. I believe the terms and conditions will include that you will allow us to share the data with the entity. That because it's not initially going to start with it, but we're going to try and add more and more protections as we go along, try and refine and improve the product offering as we go. So one of those things is having an agreement where we can share the data between those entities. So that's that. But yeah, we plan for it to be super smooth for the user to swap between all products, and it will only get easier over time. Now, there are a few times when we have to take KYC anyway, like let's say your country has changed, your jurisdiction, residence, or citizenship has changed, or your name has changed, those kind of things. But as long as there's nothing really different, then there's no additional account created for this product. Just the data sharing agreement and the terms and conditions that you have to agree to before you can use the product and it'll become available to you. But that's about it. And sometimes, if there's a big change in the account behavior or something like that, then sometimes that can trigger requiring enhanced KYC where it might not have been needed before, or just additional check to make sure KYC is still up to date. But normal stuff that happens from time to time. But I don't see it for the vast majority of people. I don't think that'll be any additional thing to do.
Nice. Okay, last part from Jan or Jan. About the Athens office building, how's it progressing? When do we expect the Freeway team to move in? And quite excited about the planned open door policy, which will give trust and legitimacy to Freeway.
Yeah, I mean the Ardu Prime, which has the trading name Orbit Prime, already in there. They're already in there. They're working. It's bustling. You can go and see it. You can walk past. You can drive past if you want to come see. It's polite to at least tell us you're coming, so someone could be there to show you around. But yeah, it's already there, so you can see our partners, as it were. And it's just a matter of some last bits of logistics and other things to make sure that we have the name approved and other bits like that before we can sort of show much about Freeway on there. But you'll see it as soon as the second we've got approvals. We'll be actively working to get all these things done, but you just cannot act on these things until you have the full approvals from the right authorities. It's just the correct and proper way to do it, and that's why we're here for the long run, right? So we have to do these things by the book.
Okay, great. So Ash, our good friend Ash, is asking, prior to the recent announcement about the intended product, there was going to be superchargers and then prime accounts and whatever Freeway chain brought about in terms of DeFi offerings. So Ash is wondering how the lending products might affect things. Are prime accounts still intended as deposit accounts, or has the relationship now altered with the lending product coming onto the development slate?
So initially, this is it just makes sense that we managed to develop this sort of almost cleverer product, the lending product. We're finalizing the name, but it's focused on lots and lots of user protections, and I would argue better user protections, with the overall sort of way that we've built it than what the original idea for deposit rewards was. I mean, that would come with a lot less reward rate, deposit rewards, because of how it's built. But this one is, we've carefully kind of engineered it based on all the mistakes, and not just mistakes, but traps that other platforms have unfortunately fallen into because of the market conditions or some sort of rules or whatever we've sort of managed to learn from the trials and tribulations of all these failed platforms, or ones that are struggling, or anything like that. And we've really tried to build something that not only is robust and secure and gives user a lot of peace of mind about the protections, but also gives the kind of reward rates that they users really want to see, based on that. So we've really tried to give the best of both worlds, super levels of protection, whilst building it in a way that at least allows us to generate the kind of rewards that we all want our users to see. So that's why it's that way. And at the moment, that means you're not going to get a direct Prime account, as it were. That will be coming as soon as we can, but it's actually not a requirement for this product to go live, because we're still waiting on regulatory approvals and other aspects for that side of things. So it's better for us just to keep pushing forward in Freeway style. Of as soon as we've figured out the product and we've got a way to do it, we want to offer it as rough and ready as we can, so that anyone that wants to jump in can, and then as it becomes more refined and easy for the user, more and more can pile in there. So but we believe there's a huge demand for this kind of crypto staking via lending opportunity, with the kind of protections that all users kind of know that they need after seeing the summer of failed platforms.
Great. Blue, White, and Orange is asking if there's a specific reason why the USA accounts don't get the same interface as global for swapping, selling, and buying, and so on.
Yeah, it's just that the different jurisdictions have completely different laws, and we knew we couldn't offer the Freeway global product, platform, or service. Even Freeway token is not compatible. It's not in our terms and conditions, or not ours, but the Freeway token terms and conditions of use. You can't really use the global market Freeway token if you're in the US. It doesn't really do anything, right? So the US has its own version of US version of Freeway token, and a completely different mechanism that provides the superchargers in a way that doesn't trigger other aspects that mean that we wouldn't be able to offer it. So you have to take the advice of the professionals that you're dealing with, and we knew we couldn't offer Freeway global the way it was in the US, but one of the firms and advisors managed to help us build out a system that allowed us to do Freeway like US. So that's why they're different.
Great. I'm going to paraphrase Steve H's question just a little bit. I hope you don't mind, Steve H. But he's quite pleased with his FWT staking rewards, it seems, calling it a real benefit to holders and stakers. But just curious as to what's in it for Freeway. What are the main benefits to Freeway of having nearly 90% of circulating supply staked?
Well, it's Freeway token is a utility token, right? Pure utility. So if we just take the sort of definition of utility, I'm pretty sure utility and use have a pretty similar etymology. So Freeway token is for Freeway users. So the way that Freeway users use Freeway token is they put them on the platform, they can stake them, and they get lots of extra benefits as a result of doing those actions. And of course, for us, it's we want to see our users maximizing their rewards, because they're more likely to help us build the platform further either by buying more superchargers and in the relatively near future, as we intend, to be able to lend assets to us in the lending product, and bring their referrals and let people know that we're there. So that's the truth is that Freeway token is really a community token. It's for the users to benefit from and to be incentivized to keep bringing more and more users in. And of course, we'd rather see imagine if you were I don't know, an airline and you could have your air miles and you either kept them in the airline's app, or you could go and swap them around, like a Uniswap, and swap to different airlines' air miles and move them all around all the time. And let's say you had to, that airline, oh well, you've given those loyalty points to another airline, and now you owe that airline something. It's actually better to keep it all in your own place, right? So for us, it's for me anyway, it's like I would love to see 99% of them in the platform being used by our users for the maximum benefit, because that's what they're there for.
Yeah, following on from that, AS is asking about Freeway tokens intended use with Freeway stablecoin, and also, just stating that seems to me that there's huge potential value add to Freeway and to the token. Any more details on the planned Freeway stablecoin and how FWT token will fit in, and the timeline for that, please?
Well, we're very active and working on the Freeway dollar as its working title. We'll see if it keeps that title before it comes. But the whole idea is it's designed to be the absolute best option as a stablecoin that exists so far. That's why we're trying to build it anyway. And the Freeway token utility, what we've really tried to do with the Freeway token utility, yes, okay. Obviously, Freeway chain will have some level of gas connected to it in some way that would only make sense that would be payable in Freeway token, of course. But the real utility of Freeway token is the benefits that it can unlock for users. And so for us, that's, again, it will happen with the Freeway dollar, the additional value that users can unlock as a result of using and staking Freeway token in their Freeway accounts. And whether that's on-chain or off-chain or both, allows you to, the user to unlock more and more benefits for basically being the ideal user. And that's like the long-term plan of the democratization of our financial ecosystem as we build it. And then down the line, when we have Freeway equity and people can not only use the utility of the Freeway token, they can also own the equity of the Freeway ecosystem. That's when all these things can combine and provide the ideal user with the highest level of rewards. That's the long-term plan.
And the second part of this question was around the on-platform purchase of FWT, and the question being, how do you ensure that these demand-driven purchases are fairly transferred to open market pricing, such that the increased demand also leads to equivalent natural price movement?
Yeah, okay. It's a real pain. It's one of the biggest pains that we have is that we, too many users couldn't figure out how to get Freeway tokens off from somewhere else and bring them. So we've been offering it, but we're still in the middle of figuring out how to. Well, and we've kind of figured it out, but we need a little bit of time to implement some sort of direct to market solution, because it's definitely one of our biggest headaches, and it's something that I would like to see remedied. But obviously I can't talk about Freeway tokens market movements or any pricing or anything like that. But it would make our lives a lot easier if we did manage to get a proper, fair way to direct to market for users, and maybe we'll get there in the next sort of 3 to 6 months, but I don't know how long. But we'll carry on solving that headache as we go until then.
Ewan wants to know, seeing how the ETH merge is coming up, and how over time users are being offered more and more crypto supercharger products, it seems like a relevant time to ask how forks will be handled in general and if they will be handled differently across each platform.
Well, I think we can all agree that so far you've probably seen with Freeway, we try to do, what's best for everyone. So in this case, you've got to remember that you're having an ETH supercharger, not an ETH itself when you buy it. But of course, it doesn't stop us offering a ETH merge supercharger as well. So that's kind of what we're working on, so that no one's going to lose out. That's for sure. That's the idea, of course, because that's what we're doing. And we're working on a number of ways that we can do it. There'll be a lot of people that just don't want the headache of what do I do. Others are going to want to take out their their additional tokens and try and sell them wherever they can sell them. That's fine. We might try and do something similar, so that you kind of get the same simulation in the supercharger as if you were trying to do that. It really all depends. If proof of work ETH ends up being 3 or 5% of the value of ETH proof of stake, then we're going to try and do everything we can so that everyone sees that benefit in the superchargers. So we have it covered. Don't worry. It's obviously we're going to have that, and we'll make sure it gets to everyone one way or another. That's what we're working on.
Right.
And then in general, obviously we have to try and play it by ear. Who knows what on other products when these things happen, we don't know.
Yeah. All right, next question. I'm not going to attempt this name. I'm going to say K4 is asking, when are we going to be able to earn up to 50% rewards and superchargers? Basically, any news on the additional 7% that was mooted to be coming from doing tasks, activity reward based stuff?
43% isn't enough, huh? Yeah, obviously, just joking. It's never enough. So yeah, just a quick disclaimer: superchargers don't come with an APY. They don't provide yield. You get rewards in more superchargers. Sorry, I have to keep doing these disclaimers, but they're very important. Yeah, we were looking at it. It's still on the cards. We still open to a partnership with a particular potential partner that could accelerate our activity reward piece that we were looking at doing. So obviously the general markets have not been that great, so we sort of paused on potentially partnering with them, but we'll pick it up as things move along and so on. But I would say it's midterm on the roadmap. It's not coming on the short term. We have our focus, which is bringing out the lending product, getting mobile apps with the trading portal and connected debit cards, and a couple of things that we haven't really talked about yet, which will be on the roadmap when we let you guys see it in a couple of weeks, something like that anyway. So yeah, that's not a short-term roadmap thing. Sorry.
Okay, so just 43% for now, but this is the 8% opportunity with referrals.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the King of Crypto 69 is asking about ISO 222 and the financial system jumping into massive adoption. How is that going to affect? Will that affect Freeway in any way?
Hopefully. We're working on lots of ways to provide people with provide potential users with ways that they can feel more comfortable, right? Because Access for All is about also offering the kind of products and services that everyone wants. It's not just people that want a supercharger that does what it does with the reward rate and so on. That just doesn't appeal to everyone because you could argue it sort of looks from the outside, from the outsider's point of view, it will look like an outlier product. Now coming in with the Freeway Lend product, whichever working title it ends up with, There's a ton of user protections, more than I've ever seen anyway. And it's in my opinion, it's a well engineered setup, because the rewards are significant. The structure is understandable, because these staking platforms via lending have been around for a long time. Lots of people have used them. There's at least 1 million users of these platforms before, so that's a lot of potential people that could be coming. And rewards pretty good. So considering what's really going on, it's what's really being offered, and the protections, and really what's at stake for the user. So I would say, yeah, everything we do to make that easier on the user does invite more and more adoption, which is obviously good for everyone.
Great. So the next question is from James, came in through Olivia. James is asking about the Freeway quant trading team, and who specifically in the Freeway leadership team is in charge of managing this team, the quants, and their daily, weekly, or monthly mandates.
Well, that's a very specific question that I'm not going to answer. I'm sorry. But yeah, to understand the quant trading team, Freeway runs algos with its revenues and its assets, right? It runs algos. That's not traders. There is a 14-man development team that we obviously do not disclose who they are, refining those algos and helping us continuously with those algos. And the sort of liaison to those is actually a number of the senior management of Freeway. So I think that's about as much as I want to say. I suppose the sort of important data really is that the long-term plan, and is agreed with all of our partners, and certainly the key partners across the ecosystem, is to bring everything under the one entity roof, ahead of any kind of listing, for the eventual mutualization of the whole ecosystem. So Freeway users can become Freeway owners. So that's really what really matters, is that as we get there, it's all come under the one roof, and that's how everything can become more understandable by everybody, essentially. But yeah, that's about as much as I can say on it right now.
Got it. Last question is from Doc K. Hi, Graham. Hope all is well. Could you let us know if you will pause the swap function before, during, or until the merge is finished?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, we're going to have to do what everyone else is doing. It's too risky to start messing about when these things are all underway. So yes, where it matters, those swaps will have to be paused. We'll get that sorted in the next day or so and let everybody know.
Okay, brilliant. That's all of the pre-submitted questions. Can I ask Danny to unmic? Danny, thank you very much for your patience while we work through those questions. If you'd like to join us, actually, Graham, do you want to introduce Danny and what you know about the project? Yes,
of course. So yes, I had a pleasurable AMA with Danny over at MDB. I think it's just a couple of days ago. It wasn't long ago, and it was very good to meet some of the guys. We've had lots of nice chats. Everyone's been getting to know each other. So I think it's probably best to let Danny go ahead and tell us a little bit about himself and the project that is there, and what kind of we're trying to do together to help each other from his point of view, and why the project is looking at is actively supercharging now, I believe. So yeah, Danny, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, indeed, we certainly are. Just want to check, can you hear me okay?
Yep, all good.
Good, very good. Yeah, nice to meet everybody. It's yeah, tough crowd in here. Quite stringent questions coming across. But yeah, no, really appreciate you guys having us over here for the AMA today. Yeah, I suppose a brief introduction. I'll kind of introduce sort of maybe myself and maybe the short steps that took us to launching MDB. So me personally, I've got a background in business across a few different disciplines. So I've worked for two or three, if I'm technical about it. I've worked for several listed businesses, a couple of them Fortune 500, in commercial leadership roles, business management roles. And then I've spent sort of the last 6-7 years of my career really interested actually in quite emerging technology. So I worked for over 4 years in energy and sustainability. I spent just over half of that time running an electric vehicle charging business across a few markets, which is a huge technical challenge actually, as well as it being a really interesting industry, because you have to span across software, comms, hardware, services, and it's also a very sort of aggressive space. I then moved after spending circa around 10 years in the corporate world. I then went straight in at the start. So went into a startup software business. At the time, I only had a few 100K turnover, helped scale that business up to sort of a 120 million valuation just at the start of this year. And I'm typically someone who likes to go into an industry and learn it and absorb and be really challenged. And then I like to find new challenges. So that business that I was in additive manufacturing, specifically within sort of management software, and obviously previous to that, energy and sustainability and electric vehicle charging, quite forward thinking. And I've been really fascinated for quite some time around blockchain, smart contracts, and crypto in general. And having been an investor within the space as well, I'm starting to become quite frustrated, because I'm always, things like Hyperloop. Like I say, you look at the industries that I've worked in, things like 3D printing at an industrial scale, sort of the power that it has to change the world always fascinates me. But I was quite frustrated actually with crypto and DeFi, because I see this huge potential in terms of the technology, communities coming together, the sheer efficiency, the ability to connect people at scale globally. And I found it really frustrating that actually most projects failed. And so really I spent a lot of time thinking about how do we design a protocol actually that can harness all of these strengths, and people want it to be fun, and there's a bit of community in there as well. But at the same time, you want a large number of people to be able to actually make some money back from their investment, rather than, an AMA, an automatic market maker, for anyone who doesn't know. Unfortunately, it's it can push up large spikes of growth, but the output can mean that very few people make money, very few people make large amounts of money, and then large amounts of people lose a lot of money. And so we designed, really, MDB was, I suppose, our answer to that problem. So MDB is our ecosystem, which stands for Make DeFi Better. I gave up my job. This isn't a part-time thing. Chucked it all in. Almost give everybody that I know a complete heart attack, saying, I'm just going to quit and I'm going to go and set up this organization. And we launched 1 week before the Terra Luna scandal, and it's been a blessing and a curse, because whilst it's been extremely challenging, we also designed a protocol that's built on a system that we call Capital Synergy. So it's a token that we build it on Binance Smart Chain, which has its doubters, but it is also the chain, aside from Ethereum, that has the largest utility in the world. So we thought, if things are difficult, this is going to be robust, or more robust than others maybe. And we built it on top of this model called Capital Synergy. And basically what it does is, rather than an AMM being a risk to your protocol, actually what it does is it exploits the AMM in a really healthy way. So we raised around 1.8 million. We split that 5 parts trust fund, 1 part liquidity, and then we use those liquidity ratios and also the fund, and then the earnings from the fund, and then there's also buy and sell taxes as well. It means that you've got this very sustainable ecosystem that over time, if things are really bearish, it will just eat itself much quicker, and if things are really positive, then it will eat itself much slower. However, the backing of the token is always maintained. So in a nutshell, that's kind of MDB. If you looked at our project, we have got 2 large dips in our chart since we launched in April 29. However, we went a few percent under pre-sale price a couple of times in 2 of the biggest crashes in crypto for the last few years, whilst projects in DeFi have gone sort of down 90% plus. And yeah, so it gave us the opportunity whilst it's been hard, to demonstrate the robustness of the protocol that we've designed, and we've come out of it and we've absolutely flourished. So our relationship with Freeway really is, we're always looking for solid investments. We invest our trust fund across various sort of strategies. We look, small amount on higher risk, a larger chunk on sort of medium risk with high returns, and then we would classify, because Freeway, the way it's structured, we would classify it at the low risk investment side. And you accept, obviously, not you don't get a crazy return on investment, but you also get something that is it's got large amounts of capital invested in it. It's got a mature sort of team community, and so that really kind of brings us to our relationship with Freeway. I don't know. I could talk all day about our protocol. There's probably 5 or 6 other things that we do on top of the introduction that I've given so far. But how far do you want me to go, Graham?
Yeah, feel free. You've got the soapbox. Go for it.
I've got the floor. Okay. Yeah, great. Okay, so look, and as well, our system is more than just a token. So we started off with a master token, which is also called MDB, which is almost like a share in the organization built on this capital synergy model. And then around it, we've actually got 2 stable backed assets. So one of them is called MDB Plus, and it uses very sort of clever tokenomics, and it's 100% backed by BUSD. It's locked in the contract. It's about as safe as it in crypto as you can possibly get, and that's grown on average about 25-30% APY since launch. And that has a very clever mathematical model in it, which means that it can only appreciate in value. Everyone says that's a scam. It sounds like a scam when it comes out of my mouth, to be honest. But it's a very simple system where it mints supply when you buy it. When you sell it, it destroys the supply. And the very small tax, less than 1% in and out, is left in the liquidity pool, meaning that the supply is always 100% backed by BUSD plus $1. So that's quite a clever system. We're also paired to that. So nearly half of our LP is paired to that. So rather than, like today, there was the big crash in the market, I'm sure everybody saw. We saw about half of that dip, because we also see half the benefit on the upside, but it means that it sort of hedges our protocol, because we're sort of half paired to MDB Plus and half paired to BNB. And then we've got, so I suppose the thing that led us to kind of reaching out Freeway, we've got some NFTs as well, which deliver sort of rewards for life, very sort of DeFi type of product, which is also it's also very sustainable. It's designed to be deflationary over time. We also have Infinity. So that's launching Sunday this week. So Infinity is, I suppose, our first sort of step as a protocol in something that is higher risk, much more volatile. Its trend line should move bottom left to top right. That's what the models tell us. However, it does have volatility, right? So if you if you like when you're downloading a share app and it says, look, beware, 70% of people lose money at this, and all of us think, no, not me, I'm in the 30%. It's the last piece in our ecosystem kind of has that label on the door that says, look, you're kind of trading against other people here. You can play it safe and buy it and stake it, or if you kind of want to go onto the trading floor, then you can obviously win big, but also that comes with an element of risk that you accept as well. And that's kind of our ecosystem. It's built to be very sustainable, obviously proven itself in a ridiculously tough market. I think we've seen sort of a dip back slightly today, but yesterday we touched an all-time high where it's kind of times 5.5 in the last 7 weeks, actually. So I think a slight natural correction today. And that's kind of us, a brief introduction to me and our protocol and our relationship, obviously, with Freeway. We just invested 180,000, which is the first tranche of investment into Freeway. We've got the Infinity Fund, which backs that token. We'll be launching within the next few days, and then we'll be looking at further investment from the Infinity Fund as well, so that so our destinies can be aligned.
Oh, thanks very much, Danny. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I got to meet Danny, and some of our team met with their team as well, and we're just trying to be helpful now to each other, and I'm obviously pleased that we're supercharging as a sort of baseline for them, on the lower end of what they're doing. It's good from our point of view that we can do something. We do like to do this for projects and DeFi protocols wherever we can, because it's what I like about it is it's an element of diversification for them, because the reason why Freeway has continued to grow in this sort of scene has been because we don't rely on the crypto markets. And so when I saw what Danny was doing with his team on essentially still sort of caring about the crypto markets, but building things cleverly so that there's an opportunity to reward their users no matter what's happening in the crypto markets, and to have been unlucky, maybe lucky and unlucky to have in probably the biggest crash, systemic crash in crypto as a result of major exploit anyway that's ever happened, and they've come out on top. It's good. So I'm very happy that we're here to be able to sort of mention that we're working together on this sort of level, where NDB can come and do some supercharging, and they like how we do it, and we'll do everything as agreed from our side. So yeah, all good. And obviously Danny's here now, so if anyone wants to ask him any questions, when we go into the live bit, then happy to answer. If it's a clever question that needs us both to answer, then great. But we'll let Tony MC as usual, and see if anyone actually is brave enough to put their hand up, because you never know. Sometimes it's been quiet. All right, Tony, go for it.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, let's just get some hands up if you do have a question for either Graham or Danny about what Freeway is doing or what MDB is doing. Please raise your hands and I'll keep an eye out for you. In the meantime, Graham and Danny, I should have actually asked for these hands up a few minutes ago while you were chatting, so we could prep this section and not have this awkward silence. So please feel free to continue to talk about the impending plans, Danny, with Infinity and so on.
Otherwise, Tony has to sing.
Oh Lord, nobody wants that. I tell you what I'm going to do. I tell you what, I wasn't going to admit this, Graham, but I did actually Google the word etymology. Was that what you said earlier on? I can read out I can read out that definition, but I'd much rather hand over to you guys to continue to discuss upcoming plans.
Bedtime lectures from Tony. Like it.
Okay, looks like we've not got any questions. Anyone requesting to speak just yet?
Must have been a fantastic introduction, I guess.
Well, the good thing about it, you said a lot there, Danny, I have to say. You covered an awful lot of ground. So I found myself very relieved that I did press record on this before we started. And we will transcribe all of this. There is somebody on the Freeway team who will be moaning as I say that, but we will transcribe all of this. We will create a PDF as well, so that the Freeway fan can refer back to all the information you just dispensed, which was really interesting.
Yeah, Danny, please don't get offended by some horrendously long legal disclaimer from us that's longer than what you've just said.
No
as can only be expected from having the top legal team in crypto here.
There is. Well, whilst I sort of reflect, actually, there is a couple of, believe it or not, I mean, amongst all of that monologue, there is a couple of key points that I think I probably missed, which is quite important, I think, for sort of a mature, educated community like you guys have got. So there's probably two factors within our protocol. So we're not like your typical DeFi team and DeFi protocol. We're more experience of lots of life and business experience and maturity, which my team hate me saying because I'm older than most of them, so they don't like me saying that they're mature. But that also attracts a certain type of investor. I can see, for instance, some of our largest investors are actually here on the call, and they're not. This isn't people that come in with $10 and hope it goes times 1,000. We've got probably, if you look at our average buy and sell values, our average holding value is very, very high actually for our corner of the industry, and that points to a community base that is more mature themselves, make investment decisions rather than sort of, like you YOLO, as they'd say. And and there's a couple of reasons for that as well. I think if we look at the design of the protocol, it's built in a certain way which is designed to progress significantly over long periods of time, and also, as well as having the capital synergy model, we also have a couple of key functions within our protocol which help to lock up supply. So we have our own single staking pool, which pays at the moment is paying a very healthy 20% plus. That's come down, but the reason it's come down, it started off about 30, is just because around 55% of all of our supply is in the single staking pool. So much of it has been locked up. We then also have a farm, so we reward and incentivize our investors for sort of pairing with BNB and providing liquidity for the protocol as well. The farms just stubbornly high APYs actually started off, like any new farm, started off in many hundreds of percent, came down to around about 140, 150%, has actually decided it's going to move back in the other direction again over the last couple of weeks, and the APY and the farm has sort of drifted back over 200%. So yeah, the type of community that we have is one that's mature. They typically have cash in their pockets, and the protocol lends itself to those type of individuals, and it rewards people who treat their money carefully and think of things as an investment. And that's I thought I'd just share those things because they're all really important mechanics, which we always talk about sustainability. I always say that this is my first ever project in the industry, and I'm absolutely committed to it being my last as well. So we're here for a long time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Danny. I don't think we've got any questions from the floor, so I think we're good to wrap it up. Before we do, etymology is the study of the history of the form of words, and by extension, the origin and evolution of their semantic meaning across time. I just thought I'd share that. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And catch you on the next AMA next week.
Thanks
a lot, guys. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.